everybody, welcome again to another episode of Just for Fun Games. I'm your host, Azzy, and with me is my boy, Roy. Correct side, first try.
No, wrong side.
Damn it! What? Fuck.
Yeah.
God damn it.
See, I'm messing up too, so whatever. Anyway,
today we're going to be talking about our review for the Book of Boba Fett. Once upon a time, we would typically review this kind of show after each episode, but after allowing a couple episodes to go by for a bit, we just decided to wait until the entire thing was out, because all these series, they're typically under 10 episodes, and they feel like one 6-hour-long movie. So why not get the whole gist before we weigh in on it? And I appreciate the time.
Yeah, and if you haven't seen it, do yourself a favor. Go watch it, because we can't help but spoil everything in this podcast. So get a Disney Plus account. I don't know how you're getting it, but watch it.
All right. So before we get into it, how about we give like a little bit of a synopsis of our history with Star Wars. Like, for instance, what degree of fan do you believe you are when it comes to Star Wars?
Like, if you want to talk about prequel, original, or sequel trilogy,
the whole franchise,
all right.
From original.
End of the day, to me, Star Wars is Star Wars. Okay, I don't care what it is. I'm gonna watch it. I'm gonna play it. I'm gonna read about it. So, but I ain't gonna lie. Sequel trilogy. Well, me personally, Rise of Skywalker, not my favorite. Even though I do like Last Jedi, don't hate me. But yeah, as far as like growing up, I had Return of the Jedi on VHS, watching that all the damn time, and then come to realize that wasn't the greatest one. You got to watch Empire Strikes Back, which I was like, yeah, this movie is way better than Return of the Jedi. But anyway, yeah, I'm not into like the Clone Wars. I hadn't watched any of that. Because there's so much of it.
Like, that's one of those shows. Yeah, that's one of those shows that's like on my back burner the entire time. I keep looking at it whenever I'm like on Disney Plus. It's like, you know, watch that show. Everybody talks about it. I've attempted to several times. It's not like the animation's bad, although like the weird almost 30s voiceover at the beginning of each episode is a bit much. It's like, calm down. But the funny thing is, I actually did watch all of Star Wars Rebels, which it takes place after the original trilogy. It's kind of like in that little interlude, or during the original.
As a prequel,
just before the original trilogy. Yeah, I believe it's just before the original trilogy. But I really liked it. I mean, I consider myself very much a casual Star Wars fan. I like, oftentimes I feel like as like a fictional world, there's a lot of stiff morality, like that feels rigid and not compromising. But less the movies, because I remember when I was a kid, I tried watching the first Star Wars movie from the original trilogy. I fell asleep on the floor.
What
really got me into it, Knights of the Old Republic.
Okay, because I was gonna break that up as well. Like, Knights of the Old Republic, for me, that was my first branching out of the Skywalker series. Let me take some other Star Wars stories into count, even though there's stuff that's canon, there's not canon. It's like I'm not the Star Wars expert on certain things. I can't, there's some people that know vehicle names and ship names and stuff like that. I don't know what it is half the damn time, but I recognize it. I know Boba Fett's ship was called the Slave One. Now it's I forget what they call it now. It's something stupid. I don't like it.
No, or something. I think
I can't remember. Anyway, but yeah, it's hard for having my girlfriend, for instance, trying to get her into Star Wars. She doesn't want to watch them. I'm thinking about it, she's not going to watch the original trilogy. It's so old, and she had to be around that time to really enjoy it. But she loves she loves Grogu. Who doesn't love Grogu? Come on now.
Being a casual fan, I could say that there are elements from all the movies that the hardcore fans, like some say section of the hardcore community vehemently hate that I still enjoyed. Like, I could identify that there's a lot about the original trilogy, or that the prequel trilogy was kind of like poorly executed or just seemed kind of goofy, but there was a lot of really awesome, cool, like visually spectacular shit in that stuff in those movies as well. And while I can't, like, sadly, because I missed it, I can look at the original trilogy with the nostalgia glasses to gloss over the poor choreography or like the less than stellar special effects. But I can really appreciate the puppetry. I can really appreciate like the iconic moments. All this stuff. I could see the seeds of so many different things that would spawn out of that.
Mhm.
So yeah, and as far as like the sequel trilogy, like there's still plenty there. Like there's plenty that you can get out of all these things that people tend to hate. That's still really good if you're not too crazy about it. Like honestly, I remember I was commenting on a TikTok about how very massive content creators will just avoid talking about Star Wars entirely because of how vicious the community is. And I put a comment underneath that is like, no fan base hates themselves more than Star Wars fans.
Yeah, because like you were so divided with the sequel trilogy. Like the Force Awakens came out, it was good, even though it was pretty much copy and paste the first Star Wars. But then the Last Jedi came out, and people, like when I first saw it, I was like, I love this movie. And then I going online, it's like everybody hates this shit. Like they couldn't believe what they did to Luke Skywalker. I'm like, holy shit.
What gets me is that like the Force Awakens being very much an homage to like the original is the point. George Lucas likes the idea of almost like repeated cycles. It's like history repeats itself effectively. He likes that element. But the reason why I wanted to talk about our experiences with it and mention that toxic element was because this was already going to be fraught with friction in the Star Wars fandom, because I don't think any character has been mystified as much as Boba Fett. And again, this is something I only know from the outside looking in.
Mm-hmm.
I like as a casual fan of Star Wars, I just know a lot of people loved Boba Fett, despite the fact I'm sitting here on the sidelines going, isn't that the guy who just like kind of like an accident happened and he just like got yeeted into like a sand butthole?
Yeah. Well, it was the sand butthole if you watch the original VHS version until until they gave it a mouth and everything in the new digitized. I think it was like like mid 90s they had that re-release of Star Wars stuff. And you remember that? I remember that.
I actually I vaguely know what
you remember. Taco Bell had the Star Wars toys. I remember that.
But yeah, but this is still a character that had such a huge fan base based off of the mystique of him, because it's effectively he was like the John Wick of Star Wars. He's the baddest, most hardcore bounty hunter in the entire galaxy. And it's like,
I was just gonna going off of that, what you just said, what made him badass? Because he was
that's what I'm talking about. There actually really wasn't, he really didn't have that many moments in the original trilogy, and he really doesn't do anything, but it's like all of like the like afterwards, like all the books and the comics that would come out about him taking place prior to the movies, all this build up for a character that really didn't have much of anything to do. And we get to learn a little bit more about his origin in the prequels, but not so much about him. It was this huge legacy that was put on the shoulders of this actor. And then we get this series and immediately it's like hashtag not my Boba. It's like, who's your Boba? You didn't know him.
Okay, because this is the point. Like, you saw him in the original trilogy. He was just out there to get Han Solo. He was looking for the bounty, but he was pretty much hired by the Empire to go track them down and everything. So that's all you really got to saw of Boba Fett. And then him falling into the Snarlike pit. And then you see him return in season 2 of The Mandalorian. And when you first see him, he, you know, is like, I think it's the first episode, you see a glimpse of him at the end. You're like, oh shit, Boba Fett's back. And then there's that reveal of him finally meeting the Mandalorian. He's like, I'm here for my armor. And, you know, and he finally gets his armor back. And that's when he's badass. When you see get his armor back.
Oh, yeah. No, I like when he appeared in The Mandalorian, I was there for it. I was there for the entire thing. His mentality, his attitude, and what I love is the when it came to the sequel, trilogy, a complaint that I can actually kind of acquiesce to is that it didn't feel like all three movies were planned in sequence. It felt like each movie was planned one after the other after they were finished. With the TV series that we're getting on Disney Plus, The Mandalorian and now the Book of Boba Fett, you feel that there is an overarching plan and like a sketchboard of where they're going with the whole thing. Because we get introduced to Boba when he's looking for his armor, and he's already in the Tusken Raider outfit and fighting with the gaffy stick, and we don't know why at all, and we didn't really even question. It's like, that's what he's wearing, that's what he's got. Again, casual. So to get to the series in question, again, if you haven't watched the Book of Boba Fett, please by all means go watch the whole thing. It's all out there, and then come back and see what we got to say about it. And we get in somewhere out there, Patton Oswalt is winning all the points. They basically ripped his entire spoof from
Parks and
Recreations. Yeah. Like honestly, you could just fade into like his like explanation from Parks and Rec. But yeah, no, clawing his way out of the Sarlacc pit. I gotta say, like the beginning of the Book of Boba Fett, I actually really enjoyed. What I think is hilarious is that you had people who were who were claiming that the actor was white, and that this was going to be another white, it was going to be a cliched white savior trope where like the white guy joins the native tribe with the Tusken Raiders. Like, he's from New Zealand. He's
yeah, I mean,
he's not white.
I'm gonna be honest with you. The whole, like, it's a series, not the series as a whole, but I want to say maybe like the first I think it was episode 1 through 3.
Basically, yeah.
When you see Boba Fett with the Tusken Raiders, that I was more interested in, because I wanted to see what he did after he got out of the Sarlacc pit. You know, I wanted to see what happened. Of course, the Jawas had the armor, because that was revealed in the Mandalorian season 2, that Cobb Vanth had gotten armor off some Jawas. So we saw how the Jawas got the armor. Then we saw how, you know, Boba Fett got the Tusken Raider wear and drape and stuff like that. But the part that killed me was the scene with Boba Fett just, you know, trying to be like Jabba the Hutt. Well, not Jabba the Hutt to say, but to, what is this? He's like, Jabba ruled with fear, I will rule with respect, or whatever. That's whole stuff I did not care about. I didn't care about anything he was doing. He's like, he's just walking around town with his helmet off. He's like, let me just go around making sure nobody's in trouble, you know.
Yeah, it was hard to tell, like, because like when we saw him at the end of Mandalorian 2, we kind of thought that he was going to elevate himself to be the next crime boss, essentially replacing Boba Fett. And we thought this was going to be more like, I know I would say that's a legitimate criticism of the show in general. If people came into this expecting that this is going to be kind of like a more nitty gritty sci-fi crime show about a guy who's taking over territory and staking his claim on like the politics of the underworld. I couldn't figure out what he was essentially trying to do. It was like, what was he? Like, it was almost like he was essentially just establishing himself as like a duly elected dictator or mayor or something. I mean, with a very nice one, a very nice dictator.
Yeah, well, here's the thing. You took the guy who's this supposedly badass bounty hunter, gets tossed in a Sarlacc pit, comes out, and I guess he has an epiphany. He's like, yo, this line of work ain't for me no more. Let me go, you know, clean up crime. Let me just go clean up the town in Tatooine, you know, look, I don't know, man.
Well, he actually addressed that in character. The notion that he was after getting busting out the Sarlacc pit, after spending time with the Tusken Raiders, he didn't want to work for any like despot or douchebag anymore. He wanted to work for himself, and that's all well and good. It was just hard to tell what he was trying to do other than running a protection racket. And at the very least, I mean, he had the intention to protect things. He didn't exactly do that.
He wasn't good a job.
By the end, he was essentially, it was more like he was a vigilante force meant to protect the town against the seedier elements of the underworld of Tatooine. And that's all well and fine. It was just hard to get to that point when you come into it assuming it's like you took over Jabba's stuff. And then not to mention like the other Hutts came in to stake their claim, and it's like, okay, so you're establishing yourself. You are like the crime boss, right? Are you going to do any crime? No, you're just a protection racket. Okay. All right. But that's hard to sell.
Yeah. And his little protection crew, the mods, I could have done without them. They were so cheesy. I felt like I was watching Power Rangers. With their little mopeds running around that go about 5 miles per hour.
That poor man who played like the mod with like the eye, with like the mechanical eye. The internet is ripping him apart right now.
Oh, you talk about the spin?
Like, that spin move. The spin move in the last episode.
Didn't need it. Didn't need it.
No, it was unnecessary. But what we did get out of that is that sadly, with what happened to the sadly, as things continue to just eventually repeat themselves in Star Wars, yet again another tribe of Tusken Raiders Tuskens get decimated off screen. After they had showed us some of the coolest motherfuckers and expanded them out, or like fleshed them out to be more than just like this like random thing that random group that would like attack people on the sands. Like that's kind of what they were. I think it was my first taste of that was in KOTOR, where we had to in Knights of the Old Republic, where if you were running as like light side, you could engage with the Tuskens and try to communicate with them and get out peacefully, or you can decimate them. It was just felt a little wasted that they got wasted again.
I mean, but we're about to say, the Tuskens, we're not going to get any full-fledged out character from them. No, I'm about to say that's how it's always been. Even in The Mandalorian, when you saw them trying to take down the dragon, they were just there. They were just filling.
No, but in that same breath, at the very least, like what I liked about it was that The Mandalorian made them more than just this rabid band of savages in the cliche of savages, which, I mean, you can't not make the Native American parallels. But like we lost one badass Tusken to sub in for like a badass Wookiee, and he was a badass fucking Wookiee.
Krishantan, I think his name was.
Yeah.
I don't know much about him. I just know I've seen him from the comics or something like that. I don't know.
I did see him. Yeah, I did see him in the comics. Apparently, he is a fixture in the comics. Who was captured by Trandoshans because Trandoshans like hunting Wookiees and shaving them for their pelts, and he was put in a arena for the sport of the Trandoshans. So he has a grudge against them, which is why he ripped off that one's arm, despite like the whole. It's like, how about I just pay your tab and we just let this go? I was like, he's not gonna do it, is he? He's not gonna do it. No, he's not. Trandoshans can grow their arm back anyway, so he can, like, it's fine. Still, like, I do agree with you. I do feel like I enjoyed the notion that I enjoyed the moment when Boba recruits the biker gang, but I figured that they would just be employed and they wouldn't just stick around, because them sticking around felt a little bit like the LARPers from Hawkeye.
Oh, yep, they sure did. But and you know who I kept on thinking the girl was? The lead singer from Paramore. Every time I saw her, I thought she was going to be like, "That's what you get," and anyway. But after like 4 episodes of Boba Fett, I was just like, yeah, I'm not really into this, man. I'm not really feeling it. And then, who gotta be like, yo, hold my beer. Let me save this
Oh,
show. Let me
his
save this
his name
show.
is his name is Black Chrysanthemum.
Anyway,
It's like why? Okay.
anyway. So yeah, show was getting stale. We gotta call the Mandalorian in here. And I think it's episode 5. That episode, even though it's a Boba Fett show, that was a Mandalorian 2.5.
And that was the moment where you have a lot of people feel like the show got stolen away from Boba.
I mean, what else is Boba gonna do? I'm gonna just walk around town, not doing anything.
It was very much building towards the standoff against like the bandits, like the town standing off against the bandits, sort of Western setup. We were just waiting for it to get to that point, but then to get this like interlude where we get to touch base again with the Mandalorian. Yeah, I enjoyed that too. Training with the Darksaber, like learning more about the Darksaber and how it effectively functions. Like the Darksaber appeared in Star Wars Rebels, the animated series I did watch, and it had similar properties there, where there was a Mandalorian character in that show who was also training with the Darksaber. She would eventually give it up to the chick who was trying to get it back in the second season of the Mandalorian. But it does have effectively that property that, like, if you don't know how to use it, it continuously weighs heavier and heavier the more you swing it.
But he was swinging it like a badass in the beginning of the episode. He just rolled up into that little butcher shop and just he was slightly like, I thought they were gonna cut away. They were showing people getting cut in half. I was like, whoa.
That's actually one of the funnier things about the show is that, again, people were expecting a more adult kind of show because it was dealing with the criminal underbelly of Tatooine, and this was Boba Fett. He's a bounty hunter, and what I thought was funny about that, and I may be getting a little bit ahead of myself, but I felt like at the 11th hour, not just with Mando, but with the assassin played by Ming-Na Wen, when she eviscerates like all the crime bosses, chokes out the mayor.
Oh, Finnick,
like hangs the mayor. Finnick, yeah. When she like eviscerates everybody, it's like, oh, that's kind of what we were expecting the entire series to be like, right?
Yeah, which is funny because I was just like, where is Finnick in this last episode? You saw her at the beginning helping out the mods, and then she just disappeared.
She had a plan, man. But yeah, no. I have to admit, I hate to say it because I want to be positive about this guy. I actually really like the actor who plays Boba Fett, and despite the fact that I wasn't there for any of like the expanded materials, like I'm not gonna be one of those guys to say that this isn't my Boba Fett, because who the fuck was Boba Fett? I like him. I mean, it's hard. It was hard to tell what he's trying to do in his situation, other than just establish himself as a benevolent dictator, a benevolent protector, sort of. But like, I think that's more or less people coming into this show with the wrong expectations. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that episode was the best one. Like, I hate to admit it, but as soon as the Mandalorian showed back up again, that episode and the second connecting episode afterwards.
Oh yeah, definitely the second episode.
To which we should address after the end of season 2 of The Mandalorian, with the very poorly done CGI for Luke Skywalker. Did you hear the story about Lucasfilms hiring a YouTuber who was actually used deepfake in order to prove it? And it definitely looks a lot better. Like, we get to see Luke returns in the 6th episode, if I'm correctly, and we get to see his training with Grogu as Din Djarin. Din Djarin, thank you. Din Djarin tries to bring Grogu a gift and check in on him. And I mean, again, with Lucas liking cyclical storytelling, Luke is attempting to train Grogu in the same way that he got trained by Yoda, even doing the backpack thing and flipping around all over the place. But it's still a little weird. And I know a lot of people were hoping that Disney was going to get Sebastian Stan to play as
it's not happening, man. It's not happening.
But why?
So
It's like, I understand.
why pay an actual actor when we got technology that can do it for us?
Technology. It's just like, it's better. It's definitely better looking than before. It's not as distracting as it was before. And sometimes I kind of just forgot that it looked off. But when it did look off, it looked really bad.
It was more the
Still.
close-up shots when they really got into his face. You could tell that wasn't really Mark. I mean, of course, you can't get like fucking 30s Mark Hamill appearance in this.
De-aging cannot go that far. but nonetheless, yeah.
This last episode, man. This last episode. I don't know, man. Okay.
So hold up. You're gonna bring Danny Trejo into this show and only use him for a single fucking scene? I thought he was gonna stick around.
Hey, I got you a Rancor.
He's gonna have like he's gonna have vibroblade machetes. He's got this shit. He could have helped.
Could have been like Boba Fett was actually Danny Trejo the whole time.
The whole time, no.
But yeah, this last episode, man, I don't know what kind of like, it was so much stuff to unpack because one, what was it, episode 6 left with a cliffhanger with Grogu having to make a choice between staying with Luke Skywalker, not seeing the Mandalorian again, or taking the Mandalorian's gift, which was the Beskar armor for Grogu. And in the beginning of this episode, you see the X-Wing piloted by R2-D2 go back to Tatooine. I'm thinking, oh shit, Luke Skywalker and Grogu are gonna show up. Nope, it's just Grogu. And I was like, oh man,
yeah, no. But honestly, it's the simplest way to answer the question. It's like, well, if Luke was training Grogu, does that mean Grogu's dead? Because that's where everyone's mind went at the end of the series, because we know, thanks to the sequel trilogy, that Luke establishes a school and sadly all of his students get killed.
Damn you, Ben.
So Grogu had to be out, and not to mention, because of Grogu's species, they could play the long game with Grogu and like keep him, like only barely age him throughout the decades of storytelling and just keep him as a consistent element in their future with Star Wars. So he's got to be away from where there's already established canon.
Yeah, because look, I guarantee you, Mandalorian season 3 ends, just saying, Mando, he dies. But Grogu's still alive, Then that's when you do a Grogu spinoff series where he's a little bit older.
Takes the helmet with Din Djarin's severed head and just presses against it.
No, not like that. Well, I mean, you could have took the meme I posted on Facebook where it's like, "You failed, Your Highness. I'm a Mandalorian, just like my father."
Just like my father before me. Yeah, no. Not to mention, it's like ultimate, like, that wasn't a fucking choice. We knew what the hell was going to happen. It wasn't going to be any kind of surprise.
I mean, I thought he could have. I thought he could have took the armor. See, like, they had moments where they set me up. Like, you see Grogu come back with the armor. I'm like, okay. And then he's standing out there. He's using the Force. And then when you finally see the Rancor on the loose, and then he's walking out there. I thought he was about to pull out. I thought he was gonna pull out damn baby Yoda's lightsaber. I was like, yo, he took two. No. He took two. No. He took them both.
I like that he was able to put the Rancor to sleep, because they did a really good job at like redeeming the Rancor as just in general as a species. It's not just this big ass monster. It like
it's still which I find funny, because when Boba Fett finally brought the Rancor out, I was thinking, why does this feel like Cloverfield? And then when he finally
they do look alike, yeah.
And then when Boba Fett got kicked off of the Rancor and Rancor was on the loose doing whatever, and he was climbing up the scale, I was like, what the fuck? It's turning into King Kong.
It was definitely King Kong. Like, actually, I was sitting there, and during that like whole sequence, I'm like, it's like, They're probably not gonna let him eat any of those guys. Oh, never mind.
Yeah, he was gonna eat somebody. Which, if you know, I don't know the species. I can never remember all the damn species in Star Wars. But you know, in Return of the Jedi, when the Rancor ate that pig guy or whatever, I forget what they call him.
Yeah.
He's still alive.
What?
Apparently, somewhere he's alive.
Okay.
I mean,
Right.
well, just a little trivia.
We had two of those guys who just got yeeted off of a fucking cliff because they suck.
I'm like, oh my god, where do we go? Run around them.
I mean, left, right. It was the same issue in like Prometheus, you know, when like the ship was rolling. Charlize Theron's character decided she was going to try and just keep running in a straight line.
I can dodge it.
No, yeah, like, and Grogu doing like, first they had Grogu like help assisting a little bit by just yanking the one piece off of the droid, and then having him come back in and again display that he's still fairly powerful in the Force and able to put the Rancor to sleep. I like that we didn't have to just kill the Rancor. Sadly, I'm that person who sees any kind of animal as like, oh, a puppy, but nonetheless, that's just me. All in all, like I felt like this show was a little bit directionless. It felt like and because of the Mandalorian Din Djarin's appearance in the show, it felt like it took some of the agency away from it. And oftentimes, I feel like Boba wasn't really making a lot of decisive decisions all his own in the first place. Like it almost seemed like he was just kind of going with the motion. But I still enjoyed the show. I would still give it like a 7.
I'm in the same boat. 7 out of 10 out of this one. Forgot to mention Cod Bane. That's his name.
No, I actually thought Cod Bane was pretty cool. He was very intimidating.
Yeah,
again,
because
he's a character that appears in the Clone Wars animated series, and there was supposed to be a duel between him and Boba because he was Boba's teacher. Like it was supposed to be canonical that the like indentation on his Beskar helmet was from Cad Bane the last time they had fought. But of which it's possible he's still alive, apparently, because like the tech on his chest was still beeping after he got stabbed. I'm hoping so. I feel like he'd be wasted for only 2 episodes.
I mean,
for an appearance.
Because when I first saw him, I was like, holy shit. Because like I said, I don't go into Clone Wars and stuff like that. So when he came out, I was like, who the fuck is this? And then, you know, I go in and everybody's freaking out. So, holy shit, it's Cod Bane. I'm like, okay, I don't know anything about this dude. Oh, he has some backstory with Boba Fett.
I mean, you learned all you needed to after he had walked in on Freetown, man. It's like that deputy sheriff should have just worn a red shirt, man. What the fuck?
It's like, he should have never took your armor.
That shit. It's like, dude, come on, shut up.
I'm glad he's dead. He was just talking mad shit to everybody that walked in that town.
Yeah, no. I really like Cad Bane. I hope that I actually hope that he's still alive. That like he survived somehow. Not to mention, like we thought the sheriff, whose name, I mean, you had said
Cobb
earlier.
Cobb Vanth.
It was assumed that he was dead. Like even the guy from Freetown said that he was dead, and it turns out that he's alive. Like you slap some machinery on somebody, and you can bring them back to
get in
all over the place.
Get in the back of tank.
Get in the back of tank. Yeah, that's basically it. That's actually one of the goofier parts of Star Wars for me. Like when Fennec first revealed in The Mandalorian how she survived with like fucking pistons. It's like, how does that help with her mobility?
Them damn mods, man.
Nonetheless, do we even have an idea on when we're supposed to be getting? No, because the next show is Kenobi, isn't it?
That's fucking Obi-Wan Kenobi. Hell
yeah. I'm not sure if we're getting another season of The Mandalorian this year.
I don't know if we're getting a Mandalorian this year, But I'm more excited for this Kenobi series. Kenobi.
General Kenobi.
Because we're getting Hayden back, who was Anakin in the prequel trilogy, so he's coming to be in here somehow. Flashback, present day, who knows? But goddamn.
Who knows? I'm not gonna make any kind of predictions. Like I said, I'm casual. I'm gonna try and enjoy it when I see it. That's basically how it is. But anyway, I think we can wrap it up at that there. What did you think about the Book of Boba Fett? Are you more of like a hardcore fan and you're kind of like reject the notion of this Boba Fett entirely, or were you able to enjoy it regardless? Let us know in the comments down below. Hit the like, subscribe, hit the bell icon so you know when we're busting out some more content, because we're very irregular. And we will see you next time. Take care, guys. Peace.
Deuces.